Especially if you have like black face. It's really, it's chill. Yeah, yeah. What? Credit? Desperately. Hey, how's it going? What do you have? I have fried rice that I sat on. Yeah. Yes. Can I have it? Love you. The fastest way around. I think that way. Thank you. Yep. If we hold up the posters on the other side, can you zoom in on us? You can ask him to do it. Can you?
I can.
Timeout or something?
Yeah, when it goes to timeout, sure.
I'm an upper girl. I coach some engineers this year. Love them.
Okay, whenever you're up.
You know the time thing?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the CUC 2019 webcast featuring number 3 seeded Soup from Ontario. They will be facing PBHG from Manitoba. PBHG standing for Pretty Boy and Handsome Girl, seeded number 5 in this mixed division Canadian Championship. My name is Etienne Fournier. We'll have the great privilege of co-hosting this webcast with Brittany Dos Santos. How are you, Brittany, this afternoon?
I'm good, getting better. It's been a lot warmer now. The wind's been dying down, the sun's been out, so I'm feeling a lot better from the morning.
You've been doing amazing so far, so thanks for sharing this, co-hosting this webcast with everybody who's attending. So the two teams are slowly setting up, so Soup will wear the red jerseys, YPBHG from Manitoba will wear the white jersey. So we're in the pool play here in Brampton, Ontario. First day of Canadian Ultimate Championship 2019 edition. For the first day of competition. This tournament follows the junior tournament, which was held last week in Edmonton, followed by the adult or the senior single gender division for women and men that ended last Sunday, which featured Brittany in the final in the women's division, where her team, Sixers from Toronto, won the gold medal against Iris from Quebec in an epic game, which I had the opportunity to watch online. So great job to both teams. Congratulations to Sixers. And also I'd like to highlight the job of the webcaster that made the job during the two finals last Sunday. Please forgive me for not remembering their name, but one thing's for sure, they did an amazing job. So thanks for putting some time into the Canadian Ultimate Championship effort. So the Reds, Soup, receiving end of this game. First point. Soup, who finished second in the Ontario Regional. Attacking the long, it's being completed. Caught by number 61, Adam O'Donnell. Looking for a reset to Lindquist. Lindquist feeding number 8, Keelan Way. And it's number, I'm sorry I missed that number, but still Soup is holding their first possession, scoring the first point with their O-line. They were downwind, so it's 1-0 Soup.
And Keelan Way there with the big huck and assist. He's possibly a person to be looking out for, making a lot of booted passes, assists, etc. And Soup, this is their first year of existence. There's so many people from a lot of different places, people from Vancouver, Toronto, Ottawa, joined together for specifically this CUC's qualifying year. It's a very important one. There's a lot of Outlaws players, Ottawa Outlaws, a few who have played previous U24s, U20s, a lot of people on this team, and PBHG, I think I said that right. PBHG as well has a few U24s players. Lou Galvez, one who I played with. Unfortunately, she got injured right before Worlds, so she couldn't come. We're all really sad about that, but she's an amazing player, and I'm so glad to see her back on the field now. And as you were saying, Etienne, it's amazing to see how competitive Winnipeg Ultimate has been. They travel so far. They were in Ohio recently and placed second. It's really great to see, especially in an area where you have to travel to far places to play. They are committed, and it's great to see.
And all three divisions, like for the mixed division today, they are very, very competitive in the open division with General Strike. Also on the women's side with Fusion, which you were mentioning, they were kind of rebuilding, like with new faces in the last championship that was hosted last week. But still, it's very remarkable how the Manitoba Ultimate scene is active and producing very, very high level caliber of ultimate. So kudos to the Manitoba Ultimate scene. In the meantime, Soup in possession, looking for the first break point. Halfway in the field, floating disc, and it's being defended. There was some contact, so number 28 going upstairs to defend that is Samuel Birdsell. So there was some contact. We're discussing. Seems like Birdsell really reached out high, but the landing, he just hit the Soup player. So they're discussing very kindly, as expected in Ultimate.
Yeah. Also, James Lewis discussing that call with him. He's a very nice guy. I'm sure they'll be able to resolve it very respectfully. Possibly he was arguing that he may have gone into his face, so it looks like it's going to be a contested foul.
No big deal. Resetting the disc, putting it back into play in a few seconds. So I believe in overall sports, Ultimate community has the coolest name for teams. But the mixed division is on top of the Ultimate community. And we have what a great example, Soup wearing the red jerseys and Pretty Boy and Handsome Girl from Manitoba. How cool are those names? So just wow.
And Soup was telling us before the game that the way they got their name was they just put a bunch of random names into a poll and voted and ended up coming up with Soup. And they tried to get Campbell Soup to sponsor them. Unfortunately, they didn't get that sponsorship, but they're hoping if they make Worlds, they'll possibly get that.
Well, wishing Soup all the best into their sponsorship efforts. So looking forward to it. So while we saw a floating disc that kind of got picked up by the wind that comes that goes from the left hand side of your screen towards the right hand side in a pretty steady way. So it's been like that most of the day. It's kind of I'd say it's probably the quietest wind we have seen so far during our webcast today. This is our third webcast, third and last for today, but don't worry, there will be more webcast action tomorrow and Saturday and also Sunday with the bronze medal game for the mixed division and also the gold medal game for the mixed division, while the semis and the final for the master mix will be hosted on Saturday. So here's a break point by Soup, number 10, landing this Trevor Henry, the captain of Soup, giving his team a 2-point lead early in this first half. So floating disc for Soup, scoring their first break point upwind. So it's always very good for the confidence of your overall team, and it puts a lot of pressure on the other team's O-line, which will have to secure their point going upwind. So,
and Soup has to really make sure to put a lot of effort in, considering they went up a break. However, PBHG also being so close in seed, if there's a game that could possibly have an upset, I'd say it would be this one.
And Brinton, you mentioned to me that Soup roster is fairly short.
Yeah, they only have 18 people. So further along in this tournament, especially now, we were talking earlier about having quick points, like 2 pass points, is really important to preserve your O-line as well as your D-line in this case. And it begs to see if they'll, in the future games, be tired because of the small roster, especially injuries may happen, people may be unable to play, so it's really interesting to see how they'll be doing near the end of the tournament.
So it's interesting when you're 18 people roster, as you very well mentioned, like if your O-line usually counts, 7 to 9 players, so it only leaves 9 to 11 players playing on defense, so where you need the most legs. So still Soup in control here, leading 2-0 and in possession at the break mark line, getting closer to a second break point in a row to take a 3-point lead early in this first half. Number 23, Andrew Leo in possession. There was a foul, I believe, on the mark. Resolution is very quick. Oh, that was hand block. But no. Number 23, Leo, claims that he had this still in his hand while his defender blocked him. So I don't think it's challenged. So going back to 0. Leo in possession, dishing it to his teammate. Oh, even though it's blocked by Manitoba. Very tight defense by number 28, Birchell. I've already mentioned his name a few times in this game. So
a nice touch there by him, just enough of a piece on it to get the Soup offender to drop it.
Soup setting their zone. A 3-person zone. Manitoba going upward. Well, no, it's caught back by number 64. Great focus by Kyle Thompson. PBHG slowly but surely earning some yardage, almost halfway there. Looking to score their first point of this game. Great pressure by the red jerseys, forcing PBHG to scuba it in order to reset. Great patience here by the white jerseys. We have just crossed the half field mark, and Soup is maintaining their cup, which has done so far a pretty good job forcing PBHG to throw a ton of short passes. Number 8 looking for a hammer. It's floating. It will be cut and confirmed by the observers. So PBHG scoring their first point. It's now a 2-1 game. Still Soup ahead only by 1 point early in this first half.
And Matthew Paget doing a good job of working it through the zone. He was also a member of the U24 Open team who came second in Heidelberg. Should be seeing a lot of things from him. Also, Soup playing zone could be interesting because of the wind, but I wonder if it's also because of the short roster that they're possibly trying to preserve some of their people. So I wonder if they'll be playing a lot of zone in this game because of that.
That would sound like a good strategic move, just to force the red roster to stay on the field as long as possible to get some exhaustion. But still, when you're being played the zone, sometimes it's not as demanding. Unless there's a turnover, then you can give them a good run and tire them out. Considering it's these two teams, if I'm not mistaken, are playing their third and last game of today. So with the short roster, as you mentioned, first game of the day, you're okay. Second game, some management needs to be done. And third game, well, you might run out of gas.
Especially for the ladies. They mentioned how they're very short ladies.
And we were talking in the previous webcast with this new rule that is enforced by CUC, which forces team to have the ratio 4-3 women, men, and then you alternate 3-4 and on and on. So it forces all the team to make sure that they are well represented on the women's side, and it opens the door also for women to be more involved into the play, and it just goes towards the gender equity that everybody aims at. So great decision by CUC. Anyway, it's the World Federation that has decided this ruling. So CUC, congratulations for following up and supporting gender equity.
A nice bid there by Karen Chan. She's going every other.
Lindquist in the end zone, patiently waiting for this to be within his reach, even though there was a lot of pressure from his defender. So third point by Sub, confirming a 2 points lead. So 3-1 for the red jerseys versus PBHG.
And Sub doing a really good job of having that first break though and immediately continuing it and that led to an easy score.
Alors, on est à Brampton, en Ontario, pour le championnat canadien d'Ultimate édition 2019. On assiste à un match de la division mixte, évidemment, qui implique Soup de l'Ontario. Ils sont présentement classés 3e au classement général de ce tournoi et qui affrontent les chandails blancs du Manitoba, Pretty Boys and Handsome Girls, PBHG, qui sont classés 5e au classement de ce championnat canadien. Soup qui a terminé 2e évidemment en Ontario derrière Chaos. Donc un match qui a de l'importance. On est dans les matchs de poule de cette première journée de ce championnat canadien, l'Ultimate Division Mix. Donc de ce jeudi à dimanche, ce sont les divisions Mix et Master Mix qui ont lieu, alors que les divisions juniors et les divisions féminines et masculines ont lieu la semaine dernière à Edmonton. PBHG receiving end of this pool. Soup going on a person-to-person defense, unlike previously where they have set up a zone. So transitioning now to person-to-person. So PBHG have resolute the Soup zone earlier on. So Soup trying to change things to create a turnover. So far they have been very, very successful in putting pressure. And here's the turnover on a non-force throw. So Soup will take the disc back on PBHG goal line in order to score what can be their second break point of this first half. Number 11, Joël Bellavance with the disc. Floating disc up the line, confirmed by the observer. Number 9, Josh Marin scoring the fourth point of Soup.
And the mark there was really hard no around, so they're really forcing Soup to really push it towards the end zone and try to possibly make a mistake, or because of hard defense, they're really not letting anything go to the break side.
So PBHG calling a timeout now. They're trailing by 3 early on this first half. So they will try to find some solution. They're trailing by 3 points, but 2 break point also. So Soup being in the driver's seat so far.
Soup's been doing a really good job of keeping their points short and sweet.
But it's ultimate and it's mixed division. So we have seen in a previous webcast where Chaos were playing a TT from BC, and TT took an early lead 2-0. And it was quite surprising from Chaos, which are we had a significantly higher ranking than TT, and then just Chaos rambled back and scored like 6 points in a row in the first half, and manage a way to score the 7th point in a row because they're coming back from halftime. They were starting on offense, so 7 points straight. So it's hard to manage that. So a 3-point lead at this point of the game is kind of, well, it's good to have, but it's meaningless.
There's still so much game time left. And PBHG just having a lot of their turnovers have just been small miscommunications, which is something that's easy to fix. And hopefully they can do that and get some points in.
So good thing for PBHG is that they are on offense. They will be receiving, and they are going downwind. So we have seen a few teams are struggling to play upwind so far today. So the wind has been steadily going from the left-hand side of your screen towards the right-hand side. As you can see, the flags in the background waving. Beautiful day in Brampton. Not too hot, a little windy, but still awesome condition to play ultimate.
Also, this venue is really nice. They held University Nationals here a while back, and it's just such a good venue. They take really good care of it, and it's really great ultimate playing fields.
Ultimate Canada has an agreement with the city of Brampton to host many events here, and those, as you very well mentioned, beautiful facilities. And not only the facilities are beautiful, but the Brampton city staff is extremely supportive, and they love Ultimate, and they love the organization, and they love the sports. So being very, very supportive. So huge kudos to the city of Brampton and their staff for taking part of the success of such an event as Canadian Ultimate Championship. Soup still in possession, looking to score a second break point in a row. Discus floating. Number 13 is by herself, but there was a call. No, yes, confirmed by the observers. Number 13 seems strangely by herself down in the end zone, but somehow, someway, whatever the output, there's the point for Soup, and it says third point in a row, second break in a row, taking a lead 5-1.
Erin Daly there really making a textbook deep cut. She really did a great job of making a hard cut in, and her defender bit too much, and she ended up being wide open deep.
So Soup in the driver's seat, leading by 4, but still ton of time for PBHG to close this gap and remain competitive in this game. Soup being seeded number 3 overall in this competition, while PBHG being seeded number 5 from Manitoba. So this game is a 15-point game, or 90 minutes, with a hard cap at 85 minutes. So this is for the pool play, when we'll be entering the quarter and the semis and the finals. The game will last 120 minutes, still first to 15, and there will be a soft cap at 105 minutes. PBHG in possession, looking for some yardage, resetting in their own end zone. Finally finding some breathing space outside of their end zone. Great disc movement by PBHG handlers. Number 93, Will Conrad, one of the PBHG captain. Nice grab by number 13, Carissa Ness. Landing hard on the ground, but still keeping possession. So nice give and go. Huck, number 15, is the target, but that disc is being defended by Soup defender. I think it's number 25, Kirsten Dearden, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the PBHG offender was just a little far deep for that throw. Soup's doing a really good job of marking them. All the downfield defenders are very under on their person because not that many hucks have been coming up. So I think just making that cut a little, setting up shorter, because if you don't do those cuts, they're just going to keep playing under and then you're stuck. So really getting the defense to kind of shift to make it easier to be open on an under.
Lindquist with the disc, floating disc to Keelan Way, but nice reading, nice defending by PBHG. So there was a travel call by Keelan Way. So Lindquist, which we have seen in the last few years with Goat from Toronto, somehow, someway now is playing in the mixed division. So Always glad to see Lindquist active. Number 91 laying it out, but a little too short header. Herms was going all out on this disc. It's hard when you throw upwind to make it float, because if you make it float too much, the wind will pick it up, and then if you put too much gas on your throw, then your receiver will run short of the disc. But it's a timeout call by Soup.
Soup probably just taking a breather and really want to get this point in very quick and very short. Every point matters with a team with a roster this small, and in pool play, point differential is also something to consider.
Yep.
So really making sure you get that turnover and then you score is really important.
It's probably just below the camera, but Brittany has her fan club just below on the sideline. So
yeah, if you see, there's Vanya and Rebecca. They were two of my juniors that I coached at Junior CUC this past week. They are awesome. I love them very much.
Big fans of Brittany DeSantis, the player and the webcast co-host also. So still, Soup in possession at their own goal line, 70 yards away from what can be a fourth consecutive point or a third break point in a row.
Also, looks like they're setting up a split stack, hoping to isolate Lindquist and Lewis.
Sounds like Lindquist will attack the end and then after bust long, while Lewis will more likely go in inside cut. But the force is backhand, so the set play doesn't work. So PBHG forcing backhand, but Lindquist firing it long to Lewis, but I don't think Lewis was expecting it. He was heading in, miscued by the two Soup
I think
players.
Lewis there just got stuck on his heels a little bit, didn't expect it to come up. And by the time it did, it was a little hard to turn around and run after it.
Nonetheless, PBHG is at their own goal line, going upwind. It's always a miscued, like we just saw, is not something you look at, but it's not that bad of a decision overall because your other team is 70 yards away from your own goal line and needs to fight against your defense and against the wind. So not a bad decision by Lindquist.
Also, they did a good job of realizing and adapting to the force and realizing that it was a different force and that the play was going to be harder, so they decided to swing and take the open dump instead of forcing anything.
Stall down call. It looked to me like it was very, very late before that pass occurred, which kind of a desperate pass to a very hopeful reset on the other sideline on the opposite side of the field. So we're discussing with the observers. Looks like it's a stall down. So turnover favoring Soup in a very, very good position to score a fourth point in a row. Lindquist will put the disc back into play. He will be defended by number 28, Birdsell. Lindquist scoobering it in the air to Keelan away, but could not handle it. Still, it seems like the stall was getting high on that throw, and there was no reset for Lindquist. So disc is floating. Lindquist stealing it in the air. Nice bid by Birdsell. A little too short. Number 1, Lana Remic. Lewis, Keelan way. Oh, just a little too far away from his teammate. Great bid by Sioux players. Jerry Wang. PBHG still on their own goal line in the corner with the horizontal stack by the white jerseys. Let's see how they can create some space, moving the disc upward, which they have struggled with in the last point at least. PBHG trailing by 4 in this first half. We're almost at the 30-minute mark here in Brampton, Ontario. Canadian Ultimate Championship, mixed and master mixed division. Stall is high, disc is floating, and it's being continued by PBHG. Last resort throw. Birdsell with the disc again, getting involved into creating some movement. 93, putting it long to 25. So Will Conrad was targeting Oren Binun, but a little too far away. Going upwind like that, it's a tough throw.
I think PBHG there was just getting a little impatient. Seeing as Soup was keeping them on their half of the field, doing a really good job in keeping them back. They swung it many times, and I think they just got a little excited seeing that open cut.
Lewis to Lindquist, but the disc got picked up by the wind and went out of bounds. So even though Lindquist was pretty much open, it was a little too far ahead. So Lewis and Lindquist have somehow, some way, some kind of a connection here today, exchanging a lot of discs.
Also, we've seen a lot of the throws going downwind, been overshot. It's been happening a lot. Hopefully the throwers can adjust a little bit to either throw a little later or add a little more float to make those completions.
Absolutely. So it becomes like a marathon point. So that's why it's so important for PBHG to convert and secure their O-line in order to keep the game a 3-point game instead of a 5-point game, which would be quite a challenge to recover from in this first half.
It's also a little disheartening when you have such a long point and you don't end up with
the
score.
Absolutely. But still, let's give some credit to Soup D-line, which has been putting a lot of pressure on PBHG. Handlers and cutters. We've seen a lot of throws from PBHG, like at stall 8, stall 9, very late in the stall count.
And PBHG is doing a really good job of swinging the disc. They're just having a little trouble getting it to the upfield cutters.
Birdsell, low release, back end, while he's forced flex side.
Ooh.
Nice footwork by Will Conrad, the captain. Disc is floating, still defended by Keelan Way, number 8 from Soup. Lindquist now with the disc, looking long, pivoting well, feeding Way. Changing disc now with Lewis. Lewis back end to Wang. Lindquist again. This is a long point. The two teams are exhausted. Keelan Way shooting for Jerry Wang, but it was a kind of a outside in with a little too much angle, a little aggressive on the angle.
It was going over Jerry Wang's head. Those are really hard to catch. You can see Soup now. You can see the fatigue a little bit. A lot of people have their hands on their knees. This is the point where they have them in a good spot right now to get a quick turnover. And PBHG, this is where they really want to punish the Soup D-line, seeing how tired they are.
Timeout call by PBHG. So getting their a few seconds to breathe in, breathe out in order to figure out the Soup defense, which has been very, very, very effective in putting pressure. We've seen them play zone defense earlier in the game, but they have left that aside to really focus on a person-to-person defense, which had turned out very, very effective. And PBHD looking for some offense rhythm here. It's hard to do to align 3-4 passes in a row, to get some momentum. Pretty difficult so far.
PBHG just looking a little bit stuck in the sense that they're having a lot of trouble throwing upfield. However, when they do, good things happen, so they just need to keep continuing that, have their cutters keep going. And I also wonder if Soup maybe will set up a zone offense here possibly, or just continue with the person D since it's been working. But I find setting a zone on this corner to trap them there would be an interesting choice.
Well, you can hear through our mics that there's quite a gust of wind right now, just while PBHG is putting the disc back into play. So let's see how fruitful or how fruitless was that timeout called by the white jerseys. So we'll take a few seconds just to thank our official nutrition partner for CUC 2019, so Cliff Bar. So thanks for partnering with CUC 2019. And also Discraft, the official disc of Ultimate Canada. So thanks to Discraft for supporting this event. So great separation here for PBHG, but the disc just was out of reach for the intended receiver, which is number 13, Carissa Ness. So great run, but disc was just out of reach. Soup, again at their own goal line. Nice break pass. Lewis putting it long. Lindquist is the target, but still the wind is picking it up. And the story is repeating.
Again, wind seems to be everybody's biggest enemy here today. From the first game until now, the wind has been a huge factor.
And it was a pick call. So I haven't counted exactly, but that point has lasted an estimate 10 minutes now. So tons of back and forth, great attempt. Soup had a couple of opportunities in the red zone that we're not able to convert. PBHG going in the air. Disc is floating. Lewis, tall Lewis is there to secure that disc. Make sure that PBHG is not catching it. Quickly, red jerseys moving the disc. Lindquist looking for an option. Going long to Keelan Ways all by himself. And Soup finally putting an end to this marathon point. Scoring their 6th point, taking a lead 6-1. And scoring their 4th consecutive point. So good job by Soup D-line.
And Jeff Lindquist there really making a hard throw. And it was such a pinpoint throw to the receiver. He's truly a really skilled thrower, and that was a tough throw to make, but he did it.
And Keelan Way was all by himself, like for some answer, for whatever reason, his defender, either when he saw the disc going in the air, he stopped running. I was not paying attention exactly, but obviously after a marathon punt, as you mentioned, like the fatigue, now you need to handle your fatigue. And when you're on defense, it seems like the legs are always a little more heavier when you're tired for some reason than when you're on offense. So
I think he was also in a spot where the defender didn't even think he was going to get the disc in that spot. It was a hard spot in the field. For Lindquist to make that throw to such a small sliver of space, I, as a defender, wouldn't even know if I'd think that was coming up either.
Absolutely. So the red jerseys in control in this pool play game here at Canadian Ultimate Championship 2019 Mixed Division. The Master Mixed Division is also hosted here in Brampton during this exact same weekend. So thanks for being with us on this great Thursday afternoon, wherever you are, at home, at work, cheating a little over your work, double tasking. PBHG in the air. It's floating and it's being caught by number 6 and confirmed by the observers. Number 6, Ethan Chochinov, securing PBHG's 2nd point, and that will be a relief for PBHG, who hasn't scored for a very, very long time. So still the white jerseys trailing by 4. Ton of time to play Ultimate, so this game is far from being over. We've seen it earlier today, some comebacks. And that is the thing with, not only the mixed division, but, Canada being the country it is, it's hard for, let's say, a Western team to play against an Eastern team. Like, there might be one game during the season, but it's very, very difficult. So when comes time of seedings, there's a few rules that Ultimate Canada applies, but still, the seeding is what it is. and there's always upset in the first day of a competition like that, especially in a 20-team format. So you can expect for sure some upset. But that's why you're having this first day, to just confirm that your seeding was accurate, and if it's not, well, it will be corrected through the output of those games.
There's a lot of effort and there's a big process to the seeding, and they do a good job of it.
Absolutely. So Andrew Batchelor, the competitive director for Ultimate Canada, very involved in this event for many years now. Soup going long. Number 13, Erin Daly, was the target, but it was just out of reach, even though she was a good decision, or a good throwing decision, but just the execution was a little too far away. Again, I suspect the wind that it had picked up the disc and putting it out of reach.
In Soup, they also set up an isolated play. Everybody was in a side stack except for one person. Seems they like those side stacks quite a bit. It gives a lot of space for them to get open.
The Manitoba squad looking for their first break point of this game, trailing by 4. And still on Soup and looking at their 6 point, they were scored by 6 different players. So that's something you like to see on a roster. So it's not always the same 1 or 2 or 3 people scoring point. You see different people getting open in the end zone. So nice long flick. Who will land with the disc? Number 52. But there was a travel call on the throw. So number 52 did a great job, Liam Sawatsky. But it will go back because there was a travel call, and I believe that travel was called like right away. Number 11 from Sioux, Joel Bedavance, claiming that number 18, William Medwick, has changed direction after catching the disc while he was slowing down. So
it was also a really nice throw by Medwick. It was upwind, and he led enough for his cutter to sort of run onto it.
And good decision also. His receiver was ahead. There was room ahead of his receiver, so good execution, good decision making. But unfortunately, there was a travel call which was confirmed by the observers, so the disc goes back to Medwick. Number 98, it's a floating disc, Mady Schwartz. Everybody gathers under the disc, and of course 2 people are going down. There will be discussion. It was everybody's disc, so a typical foul call. Well, it's okay to call foul, but it's okay to contest also, I believe.
I find plays like those, it's also hard to call a foul, in my opinion, because there's so many people in the area, a bunch are on your own team. It's so hard to know like who was fouled by who. In those cases, I find it's best to go to the observer and see if they have a perspective, or contest and go back to the thrower. Those are really hard to.
I agree with you. Like you don't it's everybody's this, so everybody trying to fight for the space, and who has foul who. It's hard to say. So don't bother. Go to the observers and just let them resolve it. And if don't waste any time on that. So there was no foul call, so it's a turnover. So Lindquist will put the disc back into play. We just finished a marathon point. Let's see if this one will be shorter. So very well. Good pressure by PBHG, but still Soup able to keep possession, moving the disc well and quickly along the sideline. Number 61, Adam O'Donnell, resetting, exchanging the disc with his teammate, Keelan G. putting it into space to O'Donnell, and it's confirmed by the observers. Yes, so Soup confirming a 7th point. So ahead by 5, 7-5 for Soup against PBHG.
And Kinley G there and Adam O'Donnell doing a little give-go. Then Adam striking deep for the point from Kinley. So both Kinley G and Adam O'Donnell play on the Ottawa Outlaws.
I had the opportunity over the last few years to co-host some webcasts of the Royal de Montréal against the Ottawa Outlaws. So there is a significant rivalry against those two teams that are like 2-hour drive from one another, and those players are also often meeting in the USAU or in the Canadian Championship. So there is a rivalry, and it just provides also always an amazing show. So these two players very, very competitive, and they're displaying a great sets of skills so far in this game. They had an impact on the fact that their team is leading by 5 now. So PBHG looking for some answers. We're a minute away from the 45-minute mark. PBHG going long, but miscued. A little too far. Number 71 was the target, Jada Lim. The disc was in the space ahead, but the timing was not there. Soup going upwind. Alors Soup qui mène 7-2. Ils ont inscrit déjà 4 points bris. Et le tout sur les 7 points, ça a été inscrit par ces 6 joueurs différents. Donc une belle profondeur du côté de Soup, qui a malgré tout un petit alignement de seulement 18 joueurs, là, pendant qu'on voit justement une des joueuses de Soup là, qui malheureusement échappe le 10 là, qui était dans le panier, là, on va dire entre le menton et les hanches. C'est ce genre de lancer là, qu'on doit être en mesure d'attraper, mais avec le vent peut jouer certains tours aujourd'hui à Brampton, où le vent fait partie des défis qu'ont à relever les joueurs qui compétitionnent ici à Brampton. So call on the play. I think it's a pick call. Players discussing who had the best perspective. So number 91, Heather Herms, sharing her point of view. So this is our third webcast for today. There will be more webcasts tomorrow. So the schedule has been displayed on the Ultimate Canada CUC website. So feel free to take a look to make sure you don't miss any of our webcasts for tomorrow. Alors, c'est le troisième de 3 web-diffusions aujourd'hui. Il y en aura d'autres. On recommence demain. L'horaire est sur le site de Ultimate Canada. Surveillez les médias sociaux aussi, ça circule abondamment. Et voilà, PBHG getting some breathing air. I think it's number 23, Nathan Wilson, who scored a 3rd point of his team. Closing the gap to only 4 late in this first half. So Soup O-line getting on the field in hopes of scoring the 8 point and going in the halftime with the 5-point lead. But PBHG will for sure fight back in hopes to close this gap. So for tomorrow's schedule, we're starting at 8:30 in the mixed division, where Battleship from Quebec, seeded number 6, will play Vic Boys and Gulls, seeded number 9. So that will be our feature at 8:30. We'll follow up at 10:30 with the Mixed Master game featuring Cold from Quebec seeded number 2, who will play against notorious KWG seeded number 6. After that, we'll take a break, and coming back at 2:30 with a mixed division game to be determined upon the reseeding of all those pool play games. So looking forward for what's left of today's webcast, and also looking forward for tomorrow, which will look forward to be a very exciting game, ultimate-wise, here in Brampton. So Soup going long, it's floating, and it's confirmed by number 13, Heron Daly, who very well read that pass from her teammate with a great decision putting the disc behind the PBHG defender. So great execution by Soup to win the first half of this game 8-3. Aaron Daly scored that point. So Brittany, so far, how can we summarize this first half with Soup leading 8-3? How do you see things?
Soup came out strong right from the beginning. They had some zone, however, they now have been doing more person D, realizing that they're a fast team and using that to their advantage, as well as a lot of pressure D has come from them. PBHG has had a little bit of a rocky start. They have sort of gotten more into a rhythm now. I feel their cutting looks they've been getting a little stuck on the down blue cutters. It sort of looks like they don't have much of a stack or much of a system. It's more as they're cutting as individuals versus a team. I think fixing that will really help them towards the second half. They have been playing good D, just containing the mark a little bit more. But there's still lots of time left, and lots of time left in this game.
Well, looking forward for the second half of this game, where PBHD will kick off the second half on the receiving end with their O-line on, and with the opportunity to reduce the gap to only 4. So Soup 8, PBHD 3. We'll be right back. We'll take a short break.
You and your family are diverse and unique. Our experienced optometrists and staff at Kodak Lens Vision Center focus on providing a personalized and unique experience to exceed all of your visual needs.
Brampton, Ontario. Canadian Ultimate Championship Mixed and Master Mixed Division Edition 2019. We're in pool play action where PBHG from Manitoba is facing off Soup from Ontario. Soup, the red jerseys, so far are leading 8-3 after putting very effective pressure on defense against PBHG. O-line, they were able to score 4 points in a row in the first half, and PBHG is still hunting down their first break of the point. But they will start on offense the second half. My name is Etienne Fournier, and I have the great privilege of sharing this webcast with all of you and with Brittany Dos Santos. PBHG going long once again, missing the target. Great decision, but lack of execution. A little too far again. It seems like the wind is really picking up this disc, putting it out of reach of the intended receivers. We've seen that many times for both teams so far, as the wind going from the left-hand side of your screen towards the right-hand side. Poach defense by PBHG. Going on the break side, finding Lewis. Lewis feeding his teammate. Oh, this was in the air, but unfortunately not in control for Joël Bellavance. Great opportunity for PBHG to keep and hold this offense possession. Faking, going hammer, floating to Birdsell, number 28, and it's confirmed. Fourth point for PBHD, score by number 28, Samuel Birdsell. So that will give PBHG some relief starting the second half with a great O-line conversion going downwind, so they really needed that point. So Brittany, what do you think about the hammer decision from PBHG's handler? So was there any other opportunity than going hammer side?
There was definitely an open receiver. It was a little tight of a window. Personally, I'm not very good at hammers, so I would probably restrain, but if they're confident and they feel like they can throw it and complete it, by all means, I think they can do. Getting a hold, however, the first point is so important, and it's a really good and strong way to go into the second half, knowing you're on offense and holding. Getting broken would be a little a little not very nice.
It's all about decision making, I guess. As long as it's converted, if it's caught, well, your hammer was a good decision. If it's not caught, then I guess we can blame your decision. Oh,
there's a
heavy contact while everybody was hunting down that disc going long. So number 61 from Soup, Adam O'Donnell. There was some leg tricking here. Everybody was going for the disc. So everybody make sure that everybody's okay, which seems it is. There is no call. So great spirit again for the two teams. PBHG possession. Hunting down their first break point of this game.
Hopefully they can get a break here and get into a momentum.
Because first half momentum was all about Soup, taking half 8-3. Oh, is that a Callahan?
Wow.
It is a Callahan. I think it's Daly who had somehow hand block and was able to keep possession of this disc. I think she was the first surprise of this action. Wow. What a great focus by Daly, I believe, I'm not mistaken.
Erin Daly's been having a really good game. She seems to be the first look on most of the deeps that have been thrown by Soup, as well as she's been playing awesome D, as represented right now with the Callahan hand block.
So how much of a morale breaker is that? You're looking forward to hunting down your first break point, and not only you're not able, but you're getting Callahan. So it's always it's a good spirit booster for the team that complete that Callahan, but it's a spirit downer for any team that's being a victim of a Callahan.
Hopefully PBHG can sort of just shake it off, forget about it, and get a hold here.
Yeah. Your O-line is on the field, you're going downwind, so there's no reason for PBHD to, lose confidence at this point. We are ending the first 60 minutes of this 90-minute long game. There will be a hard cap horn at 85 minutes. Alors Aaron Daly, le numéro 13 de Soup, là, qui vient non seulement de bloquer cette passe de la joueuse qu'elle défendait, mais en plus elle a intercepté, elle a gardé contrôle du 10, inscrivant ici un point Callahan, là, alors qu'une passe est interceptée et attrapée dans la zone offensive adverse. Donc toujours spectaculaire, mais je pense que la première surprise de ce point a été elle-même Daly, qui ne s'attendait pas à ça, qui ne faisait qu'installer sa marque, et puis finalement le disque est tombé dans ses mains et elle a gardé le contrôle. Alors, beau focus de Daly ici. PBHG going over the top against this zone defense, and unfortunately another turnover. Disc is in the air. Great battle by number 9 and number 28 Bursell, and 9 is Josh Marin for Soup. Soup going zone defense. A 3-person cup going over the top successfully this time. Number 93, Will Conrad. He has touched a lot of this. Going flick. High release. Bird cell. Nice disc movement. Still lots of floating disc from PBHG. Very, so far they have been successful. Bird cell. Shooting for number 88, Jared Ham, and it's a point for PBHG, holding on. They're holding on. So still we have a 4-point gap between the two. So we still have a game. 30 minutes to be played. A little less than that depending on what the score is at and where we're at the hard cap, which will be signaled at 5 to 4 Eastern Time, obviously. Alors, merci beaucoup d'être avec nous en cette belle après-midi. On vous rappelle qu'on est à Brampton pour le championnat canadien d'Ultimate Division Mix et Master Mix, alors que le tournoi junior, tournoi féminin et masculin, ont lieu la semaine dernière à Edmonton. C'est le volet mix qui est mis de l'avant pour ce jeudi. Le tournoi se terminera dimanche avec le match de la médaille de bronze de la division mix, qui sera suivi du match pour la médaille d'or, le championnat canadien 2019. So we haven't talked about it, Brittany, today, but what's at stake this year at the Canadian Championships? Whoever wins, will the team that win will have the management of putting together a Canadian team that will be at World next year. So it's not it doesn't have to be the exact same roster. There is some criteria to meet in order to make sure that you have other players from other provinces than that the team winning the gold medal is from. But that's what at stake. And usually those years at Canadian Ultimate Championship, where the world to represent Canada on the world stage, the level is always a little slighter. So Sixers, having won the women's division, will be more likely representing, or a big part of their Sixer roster will be representing Canada next year at World Championship.
I believe you have to have 7 out-of-region players.
And I believe you're exactly right, because I drove in with Andrew Batchelor this morning, and that's exactly what he said. So PBHD in the red zone, having the opportunity to score their first break point, but a miscued great break pass by PBHG handler, but It was blocked by number 55, Kinley G. Killing away with the disc. Feeding his teammate, Daly. What a game does she have, eh? Being involved, giving a lot of option on offense, either as a target or feeding very well. Her teammate had scored a Callahan goal. That was her second goal of the game. Or third goal, actually. So Daly leading her team in regards of number of goals. So she has 3 out of the 9 that her team has. Still Daly going long and busting in right after. Feeding way. And Daly, I love her style of play. She's very safe with the disc. Offering herself as a target. Her teammate doing a great job on offense and on defense. Amazing players. Killing G. Oh, nice bid by number 8, but a little too short. Matthew Paget leaving it all in the air, but a little too short. Well, the bids you regret are only the ones you don't take. Daly, we were talking about her. Not only does she get open for cutting, not only is she scoring Callahan points, but she also feeds her teammate G in order to secure a 10th point for Soup, entering the 2-digit zone on the scoreboard.
Daly really faking that flick well enough to move the mark and get that easy backhand off.
You mentioned it in the previous webcast, how important are those fakes to make sure they are credible, to make sure you give yourself some room in order to either break or give yourself an extra angle to feed your cutters. So great display of handling skills by Daly in the last point. So those two teams are 5 points apart. Soup seeded number 3. In the red jerseys, PBHG number 5. In the white jerseys from Manitoba, so we'll take this opportunity to thank our official nutrition partner for CUC 2019, Cliff Bar. Thanks for your support. And also Discgraph, which has been the official disc of Ultimate Canada for as long as I can remember. So thanks, Discgraph, for taking part in this great event here in Brampton, Ontario. PBHG going long. It's floating. Oh, not a bad decision, but still it's an execution issue that so far has created tons of trouble for PBHG.
You can see the Soup defenders were also with a straight up mark there on both throws.
Great observation. Soup in the driver's seat, looking to score what would be the first break point of this second half. All 4 points have been scored while the team was on hold on offense. Number 10 going long, Trevor Henry. Disc is floating. Lewis is there to battle it out with Birdshell. There is some discussion around, but no call. So great battle, and we talked about that when the disc is in the air. I think it was probably in the last action. Both players' disc. There was some contact, but you go up, you will battle for the space. And I think it was a fair decision from the two players. Still, PBHG, the same two players battling out for the disc, and now this time it's Lewis who lends it by catching it, and he's pretty proud of his catch. with I would understand that because Birdsell is a great athlete, very good for aerial battles. So Soup taking a timeout, leading by 5. Almost at the 80-minute point, or the 70-minute, forgive me.
Based on how Soup has been playing, we can expect some sort of side stack or split stack to hopefully get an easy goal here.
Alors, Soup qui, encore une fois, est dans le siège du conducteur, là, mène par 5, avec à peu près un peu moins d'une vingtaine de minutes à jouer dans ce match. On rappelle qu'il y a le hard cap à 85 minutes et le match se termine à 90 minutes, dépendamment du pointage. Alors, Soup, toujours en possession. Il n'y a eu aucun bris jusqu'à date dans cette deuxième mi-temps. Tous les bris jusqu'à maintenant ont été inscrits par Soup. Il y en a eu 4 dans la première mi-temps. Et PBHG n'a pas trouvé façon de briser l'offensive des chandails rouges.
Nice grab there by Karen Chan.
Not the tallest player, but definitely well read that disc that was in the air with tons of pressure. Soup moving the disc well.
Owen Armstrong there rocking the shades.
Unfortunate drop. The pass was a little behind the receiver, which is Karen Chan Lim, if I'm not mistaken. PBHG looking for a point and hold their O-line possession. Number 99, El Fati Jamal, exchanging the disc. PBHG. Oh, that was very well defended, but a little too short. Great focus by number 15, Hilary Rampel. Hilary Rampel is the receiver. Oh, I believe she probably knew she was getting closer to the back end of the end zone and could not handle it.
Yeah, just had a hard time towing the line. Those are really hard grabs and you have to focus on catching and keeping your feet in bounds.
Still the wind picking up the disc just out of reach of the intended receiver. We have seen that quite often today, not only for this game but for the previous game webcast today. Soup earning some yardage, but this was caught out of bound. That was proactively called by the observers. PBHG pivoting, high stall count, throwing the disc in the end zone. Jamal was the intended receiver, but it was defended by number 11, Joël Bellavance. Once again, Soup in possession. PBHG just not able to confirm their O-line point. Fighting every possession. Henry finding Armstrong. Armstrong to Lewis. Lewis on the line. And it's back to Henry, the captain. Looking for a reset. Reaches out to Lewis. Bellavance. It was a pick call, I believe, in the stack. And it was before the disc was released, or a travel call. So Birdsell, what a great matchup, Birdsell and Lewis, two tall players, very athletic. We've seen them fought over disc that were flying in the air, and still Lewis acting as a reset. Oh, great D by number 15. Hilary Rampel just denying that pass, giving her team another opportunity. Disc is floating, very dangerous. Oh, but Henry is jumping upward to the landing on his teammate, which stays on the ground. There was Rampel, or the number 20 from PBHD.
That's also Karen Chan Lim there. Hopefully she's okay.
So PBHD player seems okay. So Always like to see a player going off the field on her own 2 feet. It releases some anxiety. So Karen Chemlin, which I believe was one of your teammates, was she at the Worlds last July, where Team Canada women's team has earned a bronze medal, winning over the Colombian team and having lost in semis against the Japan in a very, very well fought game. So Belavance sharing his point of view. It seems like a clean catch in the air, but the landing, there was a lot of people, so you still have to be aware. It's not a matter of if you catch the disc or not. Is if the landing put the security of players at risk, you have to be careful. So let's see what, obviously we're reaching out to the observers and they had a discussion amongst them too. So let's see what will be the ruling of the observers.
I think here also you can take into account whiff diff, the difference between whiff diff and USAU. Whiff diff, that would be a foul for sure. Contact before, during, or after is a foul, versus USAU where if there was contact, if they got the disc before there was contact initiated, then normally it's okay. But it looks like it's coming in at PBHG.
Yep, so it seems like the whiff diff interpretation here has been ruled out, so good thing everybody's safe, so that's what's mostly important. Birdsell going on the reset. Jamal now with the disc going, hammer to Birdsell, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's confirmed. So a 6th point. PBHG hanging in there, trailing by 4 in the second half with approximately 10 to 15 minutes remaining to be played. So yes, it is still possible for PBHG to come back, but time is running out, so it needs to happen now.
Again, interesting decision with the hammer. Definitely hard for the defender to get a read on it since it was going directly over his head and the receiver was already facing towards it, so a lot easier for him to be able to read and catch it.
And we call that a hammer, but it more looked like a blade.
Yeah, it was very bladey. It was very bladey.
It was going down big time.
Especially downwind, those usually come in a lot faster and can be difficult.
Let's give some credit to Birdsell, who very well read that disc. And still PBHG looking for their first break point. While they have been a victim of 4 break points in the first half. Out of the 5 points played in the second half, all were on hold. So all O-line being able to secure their possession and granting their team a point. Soup, vertical stack. Resetting in the middle. Keelan Way in possession. Disc is floating to Kinley G.
The wind's starting to pick up a little bit more now too.
Lana Ramic, one of the spirit captain of Soups, wearing number 1, resetting to her teammate Way. G and Way have been in control of this disc, not earning any yardage, but then Keelan Way lets it go. But it was a kind of O'Donnell was going long, but he was not really ahead of his defender, and it was a fairly easy D to achieve by number 8, Matthew Paget.
PBHG has also had a lot of those help Ds. There's normally 2 PBHG defenders in the area.
So Paget will put the disc back into play. Pivoting. Oh, nice defense by Ramic. Was really into her players. Very, very close. Lindquist, no look throw to Kinley G, saving the day, laying out. 1 yard away from the end zone. O'Donnell now. O'Donnell going around to Way. Way going break side to O'Donnell. O'Donnell quickly feeds her teammate, securing the 11th point and confirming a 5-point lead by Soup with about 8-9 minutes to be played in this game. So Soup really in the driver's seat. At this point, it's hard to imagine how PBHG can do a comeback, considering there's not much time left.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's number 24, if I'm not mistaken, Jerry Wang, who has scored a point.
Also, like I said in earlier games, where we had a similar situation where there's a pretty big point gap, PBHG needs to take in all this information and learn from it and come out strong tomorrow.
So based on the second half, those two teams are at par. 'Cause they've been exchanging point. So it's just that, they had a bad momentum for, they got broken 3 times in a row, allowing Soup to score 4 points in a consecutive way. So it's just probably like a 15-20 minute bad time, and there was a few marathon points also in the first half, which, intuitively we might have give the benefit of a marathon point to PBHG because they have a greater roster in terms of numbers of players, but Soup were with their 18 people roster were able to hang in there and just display great skills and great completion rate, so which PBHG has suffered from.
And aside from those 2 marathon points, the points have been scored rather quickly.
You're right. Good movement. It's a long pass, but great bid. We believed until the end, but just a few inches short to confirm that long pass, and it was still a good decision, but the execution, once again, the wind picking up all the disc going towards the right hand side of your screen. So it's been quite a standard today. So Soup quickly halfway on the field. Marin in possession.
Sort of in the story of PBHG this game, where they just had so many unfortunate errors on throws downwind, where it's open and they're there, it's just the throw's a little too far.
Miscued by Soup, quickly taken. Oh, what a nice reach by number 88, Jarrett Ham, who just reaches out in the air, beating his defender, which was pushing a lot of pressure from the Soup defender, but it's Ham who lands that disc. And still, PBHD hanging in there.
That was a great grab by him, really going up with authority and ripping that disc out of the sky.
And I felt like the Soup defender had a better position in that disc, but still, Ham saying, hey, this disc is mine. And confirming the 7th point of the white jersey, still trailing by 4 with 3 to 4 minutes before the 85-minute horn, which will signal the hard cap. Hard cap meaning that whatever point you're playing right now will be the last point of the game. So it's almost impossible to expect a comeback from PBHG, but I'm sure they will hunt down for their first break point of this game and the first break point of this second half, where both O-line have secured their possession. So heading toward our last webcast for today, for day 1 of Mixed and Master Mix Canadian Ultimate Championship 2019. So as we mentioned earlier, we will get back tomorrow morning for an 8:30 webcast that will feature some mixed division action. So we'll be featuring Battleship from Quebec, seeded number 6, versus Victoria Boys and Gulls, seeded number 9 from, I suspect, British Columbia, obviously, if my geography skills are not that lost into my memory. So great action tomorrow morning to kick off the day, wherever you will be, either at work or sipping your coffee because you just got up. If you're more on the western end of the country, we'll be glad to share this webcast with you. I will be there, so will be Brittany. So thanks again for sharing this webcast. Kinley G to Ramich. Ramich looking for a reset. Kinley G dancing but finding his way up the line on the break side. O'Donnell. G breaking the mark to Daly. What a game that she had. Finding Lindquist. Nice over the top pass, reaching out to number 16 Berkeley Davis. And Soup scoring their 12th point. Securing a 5-point lead with the horn about to blow, signaling the hard cap.
Like you said earlier, Soup has had a lot of different people scoring. They really do have quite a deep roster.
So Aaron Daly has scored 3 of Soup's 12 points. Other than that, if I'm not mistaken, there's number 61, O'Donnell, who scored 2. Lindquist has 1. Marin has 1. Keelan Way has 1. G has 1. So has Wang and Davis. So that's what you like about a team, to have the point score spread all over your roster. So you don't have to rely on 1, 2, or 3 players to put some point on the scoreboard. We don't have the hockey pass stats, but I suspect that this, if we had this picture, it would be very similar to what we are seeing from a scoring end. So flick, pull, rolling to PBHG, which might be the last possession of this game. So Lewis trying to defend Beardsell. There was a foul call. So Birdsell and Lewis, what a great matchup we've seen throughout this game. 2 great athletes, great spirit also. Miscue, number 93, Will Conrad. Not sure he was expecting that pass. Here's the horn signaling the hard cap, so this will be the last point of the game. Soup putting it long, and who else than Daly to capture that disc, and the point is confirmed by some observers, but there is some discussion going on. So it seems like the observers are confirming the game is over. There's still some discussion around, so even though the teams are gathering to either celebrate their victory or cheering up their teammate. So nonetheless, it's a victory for Soup. Is it by a score of 13-7 or 12-7? Doesn't make much difference at this point. If there's any points differential for a tiebreaker, then it might be relevant. But at this point, I think it's a fair and square victory for the Ontario representative wearing the red jerseys. So Brittany, how can you summarize this game played by those two teams?
PBHG just had a really rocky start. In the second half, they traded points a lot with Soup. Just that rough start kind of had them stopped and really have them struggle to get back in the second half, considering the point deficit. CUC, with that in mind, really punished PBHG and got so many points in really quickly, set up zones, and really did a good job of just making space for each other and really using their depth to win this game.
And as you mentioned, the stats are very clear. Like all the break points occurred in the first half. The only break point occurring in the second half is actually the last point of the game, scored by Daly. So the two teams have exchanged a point in the second half. So congratulations to CUC for their great victory, and thanks a lot for PBHG for the great show they have provided here in Brampton for the CUC 2019 in the mixed division. We're also featuring Master Mixed Division. So this was our last webcast for today. So the next appointment is tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern Time, where Battleship will play against the Victoria Base team. So looking forward for that next appointment. So in the meantime, my name is Etienne Fournier, and I had the pleasure to share this webcast with Brittany Dos Santos. So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon, and looking forward for tomorrow's webcast for the continuation of this Canadian Championship. Thank you very much and take care.
Ready to wrap it up? Thank you guys. I always say without voices, it's just dead air and